So with our lovely Miss P, I know that this cot is gigantic. It could be like a whole suite for her. I just wanted to see if we could practice a little bit with some novelty and see what her comfort range might be with trying to go on to something, again, new. So if she's a little bit unsure, I'm going to try a little bit with feeding the item. If she thinks this is way too spooky, I'm not going to force the setup. I just want to see if she has the comfort or the confidence to give it a try. Nice job, cuteness. I know Mr. E says, I would really like to go play some more. Nice. So if there's ever a moment, again, where your puppy finds something to be a little overwhelming right there, yes, she's like, oh my gosh, guys, it moves underneath your feet. If she thinks it's too challenging, like I had mentioned earlier for some of the other babes, but Ethan found it to be not too spooky, is if this is a little bit challenging when it's flipped the correct side up, I'm going to do, she's like, lady, that is disgusting, is I'm going to do it upside down. So now as she goes and maybe tries to check it out, the item doesn't sink or move. Because for some of the babes, this concept of it could be dangerous is a real threat. Remember that your puppy being hesitant to live another day is a normal survival skill. So when your puppy is sometimes putting on the brakes or is not being as responsive, think to yourselves, could my puppy maybe be not as comfortable? So nice job, Miss Phoebe. So let's say your puppy is feeling a little bit flustered, forcing the situation could be more challenging. So I sometimes like to show that it's not so bad by me maybe hanging out and sitting in the item, and then I myself did not get injured or slip into the abyss, you know? So let's say from here, nice job, yes. So I sometimes also make sure that if, let's say this was a little bit too challenging with feeding on the item, you may find that anytime she takes a step towards it, yes, and then feed away from the distraction. So what I mean by that is if we always made it where the only way to get your snack was to go do the spooky thing, then remember the food could become, again, tainted or poisoned, or the cue itself. Right here, yes. And I'm going to toss a little food at her. She's like, oh my gosh, where'd it go? So I want her to start thinking that any attempt of going near the new item is going to give you a great response, but also for moving away from it and feeling safe again, you get a double whammy where you get the food and the moving away. Mr. E says, I would really like to wrestle. So if, let's say, our lovely lady finds this to be a little too challenging, no pressure to throw her right into working something brand new. But I just want to see if maybe as she gets to explore it and without the pressure of me forcing or pulling her onto it, yes, nice job. So I'm, again, just tossing a few little tidbits in and around the item and just see if she wants to go explore that thing again. Nice. So she's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable now, where notice her body language was quite a bit more hesitant earlier. Now she looks a little bit more comfortable and less slinky, where she's almost ready to dart in the opposite direction. So the reason I recommend adding sometimes novelty, even as simple as something they might have already seen, but now it's out of place or out of context, is that for a lot of adolescent puppies, things that seemed comfortable when they were little, now all of a sudden as they're hitting adolescence, seems a little bit challenging or out of their comfort norm. So I would highly recommend is every once in a while, do a little bit with some practice in novel environments, nothing that would, for example, shut your puppy down or make them want to escape. If they start to explode with behavior, they're also working well past their comfort range and well past their threshold. So remember, for experiences, we want to keep maintaining them, even though your puppy could be well over the 12 weeks of age or even past the 16 weeks of age. We still want to make sure that through adolescence and into adulthood, we keep maintaining these options. Otherwise, just like with us, you don't use it, you lose it. So a lot of times we might think, oh, puppy's been doing great with all these new things, been doing awesome. We're just going to go ahead and take a break from what we're doing and take a breather, come back to it later. And now all of a sudden come adolescence, your puppy is now showing fear responses to novelty. So maybe now something they could have cared less about, now all of a sudden your neighbor's tractor that's out of place where it wasn't parked in the usual spot is spooky. So how we deal with those fear responses, ready? Phoebe, come. Will either create a more comfortable and confident pup into adulthood or create more of a anxious or fearful puppy. Right here, beautiful, yes. So I sometimes will just go ahead and either feed over the source if it's more comfortable, or go ahead and create distance by adding movement from the thing. So if, let's say, she was a little bit unsure and she looked at it but didn't want to get any closer, I could go yes, and then feed away from the thing, the item, the distraction. Nice. But we could try again a little bit on the item. Nice. And we're just building up this confidence. So I know it seems really silly. All we're doing is playing with an upside down bed, but it's enough for her to feel it's a little bit challenging, and that's a starting point. So right here, we might go again. Phoebe, ready? Find it. Get her up. Oh, you didn't see it? Ready? Find it. Get her up and wiggling. See if again she can go ahead and target the bed. Yes, nice job. And we would feed her for being on the target. Nice. What a smart girl. That's beautiful. So you could again jackpot her for doing something, excuse me, doing something that you'd like to either create more value around or now she's going to dig, she says. Let's dig through the bed. So jackpots are, again, one snack given after another with several of them. So what that means, as opposed to giving one snack or several in one handful, which could be very much so from the dog's perspective as one snack, it'd be one into the hand, one after the other. So it's like 5, one after the other. Or you could do, again, feed the floor, one after the other, a couple snacks. So that way she's earning several goodies for that one skill, behavior, or experience. So again, that could help create more value in that thing. Nice job, cuteness. Ready? We'll do another little find it. He's drinking up his bowl, and I just hear him clinking. So this is very pretty with our lovely Miss P. I would recommend, again, in the home front, is if, again, she's struggling with too excited or a little overwhelmed, and maybe she's doing splendid, which is also great. This could just be a novel behavior for this little setup, so no big deal. But I would definitely make it where our gorgeous gal, nice check-in, ma'am, is having these novel scenarios. And look at now how much more comfortable she is going right onto that weird bed, and now she's going to dig in it. Nice job. What a good girl. That was very pretty. So for novelty in the home front, it could be like you move a chair to the living room and maybe there's a pillow sitting on it, and that seems weird. I wouldn't make novelty so challenging that they either shut down or start reacting in a negative sense or in an overwhelming type response. If, let's say, there's some curiosity or some hesitation, remember to not force the puppy to go towards the item in an attempt to show them how benign it is. You could touch it, you could go do it and poke at the thing, but don't drag them to it or force them to engage. Allowing your puppy to have choice means that they feel that they could say this is too overwhelming and then take a breath and then maybe come back to it at a later time. But if Ethan's trying to escape, he says, I would like to go play with that flirt pole since it's just hanging out over here. But I would highly recommend for our gorgeous gal is to introduce a little bit of some of this practice and see if that also helps with her keep maintaining some of these great skills she already had from puppy class. But nice job, Miss P. So maybe what we'll do is we'll end on a really nice note where she was doing such a great job with this novel item. I don't know if she'd want to check it out while it's flipped over because it could be a little bit spooky, but I'll leave all those crumbs for her. And we'll see if she maybe wants to try it now that it's flipped, and then we'll probably give her a little breather. What do you think, cuteness? So I might go and just put a couple little crumbs on the edge and see if she just wants to explore it. So, but having your puppy sometimes explore novelty at their range with other fun things nearby is another way where she can have the control as to how far or how close she might get. Nice job, cuteness. She's like, this is a great buffet table, but that's about it. But for homework's sake, make sure for all of the gorgeous guys and gals that they're able to rehearse some of these skills in calm, comfortable bubbles and then build up to some of these harder adventures. I think Mr. Hanson lost a snack past the fence and he's very sad and he's trying to grab for it. But if any questions or concerns arise over either some of the materials, some of the practice, you guys may also find that videotaping your practice at home or in the bubbles you're working in, it doesn't have to be the most pristine thing you've ever done. It's more for reference so you can see how you're working around your pup. Because nice shake off, ma'am. Because a lot of times we don't realize maybe we're confusing the puppy versus them being unable to necessarily catch on. So definitely filming yourselves practicing could be a nice way to review your practice and theirs together. But for the gorgeous guys and gals, they're doing stellar. I know next week is their last session. No pressure. If you would rather have them do at times the structured play, that's again more of the social and it's play, but it's again, they take breaks and rest periods. It doesn't involve the training with the videos. Doggy Day School instead has these lovely structured moments where there's videos and learning skills, and then you guys get to watch that. But again, if they're taking a break after this next round ends, perfectly fine, but feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns. But the beauties did a very nice job. Ready, Phoebe? Good job, nice check-in. So, but I'd keep rocking it. They're doing splendid, and we'll call it a day for all of our gorgeous guys and gals. Nice job, Miss P.